In the previous episode, we explored the legend of the Goat Man, El Muerto the Headless Horseman, and the haunted railroad tracks where ghost children still push cars across the edge of death. But Texas holds more secrets, legends still untold. And some of them don't just chill the spine, they follow you home. They say history is written by the victors. But what about the ones who never left the battlefield? In the heart of San Antonio stands a place drenched in blood, myth, and something else, something colder. So sit back, let this play while you eat, while you work, or as you drift off to sleep. I'm Ryan. Let's get started. The Alamo whispers of the fallen. They say the dead don't always rest, and if there's one place where that might be true, it's the Alamo. Once a proud Spanish mission, then a battlefield soaked in blood. Today it stands as a tourist attraction. But listen closely. Some claim the screams still echo through the stone. Let's step into a story where history and horror are stitched together. Welcome to the Alamo, where the past doesn't just haunt you, it watches you. Back in 1836, the air over San Antonio was thick, not just with tension, but with the certainty that something terrible was about to happen. The Texan defenders, outnumbered and surrounded, fought with grit until the very end. And when the smoke cleared, bodies piled up in the dozens. Some never even had time to fire their last bullet. But death, they say, wasn't the end for some of them. Night guards were the first to report it. In the weeks after the battle, Mexican soldiers tried to burn the mission to the ground. But as the flames rose, they claimed they saw 6 ghostly figures standing on the roof, dressed in robes, holding flaming swords, daring them to come closer. The soldiers dropped everything and fled. They refused to return. Locals believed the spirits were monks, guardians of the mission, protecting it even in death. Others say it was something older, something darker. Years passed, but the Alamo never quieted down. One former custodian said he saw a tall shadow pacing near the chapel's entrance at 3 a.m. Every night, always the same time, always in silence. He quit after 3 weeks. Tourists have taken photos, only to find glowing eyes in windows they swore were empty. One woman fainted after feeling a hand grab her shoulder, except no one was behind her. Even the U.S. Army got involved. In the late 1800s, a captain stationed nearby filed a report. His men were too afraid to patrol past the Alamo at night. They said they heard weeping, footsteps, even cannon fire, but there were no cannons. Today, the Alamo is a popular landmark. Guides give you the facts, but some still whisper stories they've heard from workers, of distant cries, cold winds inside sealed rooms, and a woman in white, drifting silently through the courtyard. So if you ever visit the Alamo, stay respectful, and maybe don't go wandering after dark, because some things never left that battlefield. The haunted Menger Hotel, where the past never checks out, and just steps away from the Alamo, stands a place where the echoes of that bloody battle never truly faded. Some say the ghosts crossed the street. Others believe they never left, because if the Alamo was the battlefield, the Menger Hotel became the afterlife's waiting room. Built beside the ashes of war, the Menger has seen presidents, soldiers, maids, and millionaires pass through. Some checked in, and never checked out. Let's walk through its haunted halls, where history lingers in the wallpaper, and shadows move, even when you're alone. Since 1859, the Menger Hotel has been a monument to luxury, power, and the uncanny. It's hosted presidents, war heroes, and Hollywood legends. But it's also home to over 30 spirits. A hotel built on history. Just 23 years after the fall of the Alamo, a German immigrant named William Menger opened what would become one of the grandest hotels west of the Mississippi. He didn't build it on a whim, he built it on a brewery. Literally, Menger's original brewery, the first in Texas, stood right where the hotel now rises. And when he saw crowds of rowdy beer lovers streaming in, he figured, why not give them a place to sleep? The hotel opened in 1859, and it quickly became the place to be. By the time the railroad came in 1877, the Menger was the social center of San Antonio. The Roosevelt Bar and the Rough Riders. One of the hotel's most famous guests wasn't just there for a drink. Teddy Roosevelt first stepped into the Menger in 1892 while on a javelina hunt. But 6 years later, in 1898, he returned to the hotels and began recruiting. Legend says Roosevelt would sit at the bar and buy drinks for any willing cowboy who wandered in. The next morning, those cowboys often woke up sober and conscripted. They were now members of Roosevelt's infamous Rough Riders, destined for war in Cuba. And to this day, bar staff say Roosevelt still returns. You might find him seated in the shadows of the Menger bar, a spectral glass in hand, watching the living come and go. Sally White, the loyal maid who never left. But the Menger's most frequently seen ghost isn't a president or a soldier. She was a chambermaid. Sally White had an argument with her husband one night and stayed overnight at the hotel. He later attacked her inside the hotel, and though she clung to life for 2 days, she didn't survive. Hotel records show the Menger paid for her funeral $32, and she's been working there ever since. Guests often report seeing a woman in an old gray skirt, carrying towels, making her rounds in the Victorian wing. She's quiet, efficient, and absolutely undeniably not alive. Captain King, the millionaire who died at the Menger. Not all the spirits at the Menger were victims. Some simply came here to die. Captain Richard King, founder of the legendary King Ranch, made the hotel his second home. When he found out he was terminally ill, he checked into his suite at the Menger. He spent his final months writing his will and saying goodbye to friends. He died there in 1885. Today, the suite is called the King Ranch Room, and guests report seeing Captain King walking through the wall, right where the door used to be before renovations sealed it off. The ghosts of Fort Phantom Hill, located in Jones County, Texas. Fort Phantom Hill is one of the most pristine historic sites in the Lone Star State. Built in the early 1850s to protect westward-moving pioneers, the fort not only offers a glimpse into Texas frontier history, but is also steeped in tales of hauntings. In 1849, Captain Randolph Marcy was sent to explore the region north and west of Austin. This area, long occupied by the Comanche, was treacherous, but Marcy's mission was to find a safer route to the California goldfields. Based on his findings, several forts were built, including Fort Phantom Hill. Lieutenant Colonel John J. Abercrombie arrived at the Clear Fork of the Brazos River in 1851 with 5 companies of infantry. He quickly realized the area was ill-suited for a fort. A sudden snowstorm killed livestock and a teamster. The water was brackish and building materials were scarce. Still, orders stood. They began construction, not knowing the fort was being built at the wrong location due to a command error. The fort struggled. Supplies were hard to get. The troops had to haul water from 4 miles away. Scurvy and disease spread. Desertions were common. In a letter, one officer wrote, "Everybody is disgusted. Not one green sprig can we find to indicate this was ever intended by man to inhabit." Though relations with the Comanche, Lipan, Wichita, Kiowa, and Kickapoo remained peaceful, the fort was abandoned in 1854. As the troops left, the fort was mysteriously set on fire. Some blamed Native Americans, others Confederate troops, and many believed it was the soldiers themselves. Later, Fort Phantom Hill served as a stop for the Butterfield Overland Mail Stagecoach Line, a Civil War outpost, and eventually a small settlement. By 1880, it had over 500 people. But when the railroad bypassed it, the town faded. Today, only ruins remain. Chimneys, 3 stone buildings, and scattered memories. Yet something else lingers: ghosts. Many claim Fort Phantom Hill is haunted. Some say Native American spirits still wander the grounds. Others whisper of a wrongly hanged man who cursed his accusers before dying. All of them reportedly met mysterious fates. One psychic said he saw the officers' quarters suddenly restored to their original form. Inside, 2 men in uniform appeared, one tall and thin, the other short and red-haired. They stared at him until he fled. When he turned back, the building and men had vanished. Nearby Lake Fort Phantom Hill adds another layer of mystery. The Lady of the Lake, a ghostly woman in white, has been seen floating over the water, sometimes holding a lantern. Her identity? No one agrees. Some say she accidentally killed her husband in a tragic misunderstanding during an Indian raid. Others say she was a bride left at the altar, whose groom was found dead in a boat. A third story claims she was murdered by a jealous lover in the 1980s. Hispanic locals say she is La Llorona, the weeping woman of legend. She's been seen at the lake, at a cemetery, and along a road called Lover's Lane. One couple claimed they saw her face up close, and that she had no eyes. Other witnesses report screams, gunshots, the sound of knocks on car windows, the scent of perfume or decay, and dogs barking at unseen forces. Today, Fort Phantom Hill is open to the public. Free to visit, Its ruins offer a powerful look at life on the Texas frontier and the spirits that may still dwell there. So if you ever find yourself near Abilene and you're up for a ghostly experience, drive north to Fort Phantom Hill. But don't go alone. And if you see a woman in white near the water, don't follow her. The haunted Natatorium in Amarillo. Old Route 66 runs through 6th Street in Amarillo, Texas. A historic stretch filled with boutiques, vintage cafes, and a building that's whispered about by locals and ghost hunters alike. They call it the Nat, short for Natatorium. But this isn't just an old ballroom. It's a place where music once soared from the brass of Louis Armstrong, and where, even today, some say ghostly couples still dance under the phantom glow of a long-extinguished chandelier. From swimming pool to dance palace, the word Natatorium once meant an indoor swimming pool. And that's exactly what the Nat was when it first opened in July 1922. But just 4 years later, in 1926, entrepreneur J.D. Tucker decided the pool could serve a different kind of dive. One where flappers danced the Charleston and jazz trumpets sliced the air. He covered the pool with polished wood and transformed it into a grand ballroom. By 1935, under new ownership, the Nat wasn't just a ballroom, it was a palace. Harry Badger added a quirky castle-like facade and renamed it the Nat Dine and Dance Palace. The big band era and celebrity guests. During its golden years, the Nat hosted legendary acts. Tommy Dorsey, Louis Armstrong, Benny Goodman, Duke Ellington, and Guy Lombardo, just to name a few. Then came the rock and roll era. Little Richard, Buddy Holly, Roy Orbison, and the Crickets all played here. At its height, the place employed a staff of 52 to manage the crowds. But behind the laughter, drinks, and footwork, there were darker echoes, waiting patiently in the wings. In the decades that followed, the Nat was transformed into an antique mall. But not everything left with time. Visitors have reported cold spots in upstairs rooms, once used as a gambling hall. Others swear they've walked in to find furniture mysteriously rearranged. Some hear music late at night when the building is empty. Not music from the past, but a drum solo and a female voice singing, caught on tape during a ghost investigation in 1996. A psychic who visited the upper floors once described a woman in a white dress, with a red stain on the bodice. Some say it was wine, others aren't so sure. Either way, she's still here, still enjoying the party. The dancing spirits. The ballroom itself is no stranger to ghostly guests. Witnesses have described a spectral couple gliding across the dance floor, as if the music never stopped. The Nat today. In 1994, the Nat was placed on the National Register of Historic Places, and in 1995, it became a Texas historical landmark. Today, it's an antique mall again, with plans to bring back the cafe and even add a movie screen. This video's gotten pretty long now, so we'll continue our journey into Texas legends next time. If you noticed anything I missed or got wrong, feel free to drop a comment below. Most of this is gathered and pieced together from stories, whispers, and old records, so I'm not saying it's all 100% accurate, but I do hope you had a great time. If you enjoyed this video, a like or a sub would really help me out. Seriously, it means a lot. And for now, goodbye.